All right, so I wanted to talk a little bit about being a leader. I was talking to one of my friends on the page about it, and we were addressing the lack of leadership amongst men today when it comes to being in a relationship with women, because there are some women still today that cherish and value a man being the leader of the home, a leader of the family, someone who can put themselves in the position or can live up to the position that the woman has chosen for him to be in. And I know a lot of us as men, we see this as a monetary accomplishment, you know, when in actuality, it's much more than that. You know, there's many different ways in which you can assert yourself as being a leader of your family, you know, of your relationships, of your children, and of your woman if she chooses you to be in that position. I think it has a lot, for me anyway, it has a lot to do with how well you know yourself. And there's a lot of us men out here today that don't take the time to dissect ourselves, to get into focus about what's really going on with us. As I spoke about earlier, about the energy that we generate because of the way in which we think about life, things, people, ourselves. What's up, man? It has a lot to do with how we perform with our relationships. And there's a lot of men that I believe truly that don't have the high level of self-esteem and everything that we portray on the outside. Inside, there's a lot of us that don't have that deep down in the core of ourselves because of those unresolved issues, you know, of those relationships that we had with pretty trash cans and that soured our souls and things like this. And we end up a lot of times either becoming discouraged, allowing those other people and relationships to change us, losing hope about ourselves. But then we're so concerned that people will see us as weak, or either that we will see ourselves as weak, that we try to push all of that to the side, behind us, and try to act like it doesn't exist. What this means is that many of us men out here today are in need of some drastic help. Drastic help. And it's not fair to the women that we have allowed the situations in our lives to sour us and to manipulate us and to, to influence us to think negatively about relationships to the point where we just abandon them before they abandon us. That's how we're thinking about it. Or either we detach our emotional sensitivity from what we have done wrong, what we're doing wrong, and we justify it thinking things like about other relationships that we've had, because we was in a type of negative energy that allowed us to attract negative women into our lives. And then we blamed them when they did exactly what they was always going to do. We blamed them. And then when we did get a good relationship, we decided this is the one I'm going to get revenge on. I think men and women both do this. Now back to what it is to be a leader. what it is to be a leader is to have a clear focus and a clear direction of what you want in life, and to be able to accurately express that to yourself and to others, and to not settle for anything less, and to live your life with the determination and the conviction and the motivation to achieve exactly what you believe in your mind that you deserve. And it has to do with direction. A lot of us, we don't know our potential as men. And there's no one to blame. Life happens. But if there was anyone to blame, then we would have to blame ourselves. Because why? Because we want something. We want something. There's something that we want to achieve. If you ask a lot of men, what do you want out of life? What do you want out of a relationship? What do you want out of a family? They have an idea that they'll express to you about what they want. And then after they express that idea, you ask them, what are you doing to ensure that you achieve that? And they might pause for a second. They might say, I don't know. Or they might say something that lets you know that there's a lot of discouragement, a lot of unsurety, a lot of insecurity that men don't like to, that we don't like to agree that we have, because of what we see around us, because of many of the relationships that we have been involved in, when maybe after we did a lot of messed up stuff, we decided we want to try something real, but we haven't addressed the messed up stuff that we did, but we want to try something real all of a sudden out of the blue. And we still go about it the same way, jumping from one relationship into the next without healing, without addressing that we need to heal, without even recognizing that there was some hurt that we have to deal with, because we feel like if we was to address that, then that would make us weak. But it doesn't. Because of the fact that it hurts. And that means it takes strength in order for us to overcome it. And that means to address your sensitivity, to address your pain, to address the hurt that you had from a woman is a position of strength. It's a position of strength. And to not address that is a position of weakness, because the only thing that you're going to do is you're going to end up projecting whatever that was onto the good one, onto the one that deserves something better than what you have given to others in the past, that deserves something better than what you have given to yourself in the past as a man. It has nothing to do with being evil, being wrong. It has to do with not being connected to God. It has to do with not being connected to your true self, to the part of you that is sensitive to other women, to the part of you that is sensitive to the things that you've done wrong, to the part of you that is sensitive to the world around you and how you don't like it, and allows you to see what you don't like and how what you don't like is keeping you in a low energy vibration, to the point where you just attracting people that prove to you that you're right about how messed up everybody is. And that's not only for men, that's for women too. But if we want to step into our leadership role to the point where we're giving ourselves the type of respect that reciprocates an energy that automatically allows us to give the type of respect, that same type of respect, to a woman that we love and care about, to our children, then we have to understand the level of respect we're giving ourselves by the women that we're dealing with now, by the relationships that we entertain now, and by the lack of dealing with what's going on deep inside of us now. A leader is not going to just put up with anything, regardless of what other people think, regardless if they're the closest people to you. For me, what I'm learning about being a leader is people with negative energy don't float where I'm trying to go today, regardless of who they are. If you're a person that is not healing, working on those deep-seated things that you have within yourself, and you just live with them, you just float with them and walk throughout life as if, I can do it all myself. It ain't no problem. If I blow up every now and then, I'm not concerned about it. I'm smart enough. I'm this, I'm that, But that there's a whole bunch of stuff that you have deep inside of you that you haven't dealt with at all, that you got stuck inside of you. And you see me, and I'm growing, and I'm rising to my occasion, to my potential. And you bring that to me, holla back. That's how a leader would do it. Regardless. Because in this life, you have to understand this life is about you. And when you get into that energy that allows you to have the motivation and the potential to do the things that you were always meant to do, and then you have some people around you that are supporting that, and now determination and ambition comes into your life, you got to understand that the devil is still going to attack you through other people that haven't healed yet. And that is meant to bring you back down again, whether they want to see it or not. This life is about you. You got to do what you got to do. That's how a leader would look at it. And the same lessons that you learn from that, you share that with others. But you still be kind-hearted. You still be humble. You still be considerate of others. Because doing that shows how you treat yourself. You don't want to be too critical. You don't want to be too much of a perfectionist, because those things will extend to other people. Then you'll be too critical of other people, and you'll be too much of a perfectionist on other people. And the bottom line is no one can live up to that perfection. You can't even live up to it. The perfection that you try to put on yourself. And then you go ahead and you put that same perfection on other people. And then you have these deep-seated disappointments in yourself because you can't live up to the perfection. And then you still project that disappointment on the other people. Nobody is perfect. Nobody's perfect. Everybody has different love languages. You have to recognize that as well. Another thing about being a leader is understanding differences in other people. If you only see things the way you want to see them, you would not make an effective leader. You would not be an effective leader. Because there's so many different personalities and ways in which people do things, ways in which people show love, ways in which people care about people. You have to understand these other things, and you have to honor them and respect them. You can't just say to somebody, well, you never showed me no love, because they didn't love you the way in which you felt they should have loved you. They may have showed you love in a way in which you just decided you wasn't going to recognize. And that's a low energy vibrational way of thinking. And it stops your effectiveness as being a leader. It's not a simple thing to be a leader, because a leader has to sacrifice their life for those in which they choose to lead. A leader has to sacrifice their life for those that have chosen them to lead them. You can't just do anything you want to do when you want to be a leader. And a lot of our problem as men is we haven't grown up all the way yet. So we still want to be partly children, in our mentality. We want to act like children will act. where we don't take responsibility for certain things. You know what a leader does? A leader says, wow, I'm not even responsible for this argument that we had and the pain that came from it, but I'm going to take responsibility for it. I'm gonna put the weight of it on myself because of how I love them and because of who I've decided to be, the role that I have decided to take upon myself. I'm not going to abandon that role. It now falls on me as part of the responsibility to do something to rectify the situation, or do everything in my power to rectify this situation. Why? Not because they were right, not because I was wrong, but because I'm the leader. You see, man's most powerful asset is his ability to separate himself emotionally from the situation so that he can see it logically. And the reason why God gave man that ability to separate his emotions is not for him to not deal with his emotions. It was for him to be able to complement the woman who is perfectly comfortable